Hey besties, welcome in. My name is Sabrina for those of you who don't know me yet. And it is Friday night, which means it's time to get lit. Now, if you're new here, Friday Night Lit is where we sit down and we chit chat about all the books that I've been reading lately. But I like to start by making a little drink. And almost always I'm making mocktails. Today, I found something super, super cool. I thought this was like the perfect thing for Friday Night Lit. So I bought it. This is a subscription box. I got a single package of it, not a subscription, because I wanted to see how good it was before I subscribed. It comes with lots of zero proof things and everything you kind of need to make cocktails. Well, everything except for like the glassware. The glassware is not included, but it's got all of the like drinky stuff in it, okay? Let's open this box and find out what's in here. I did open it briefly when I got it just to make sure that everything in it was good, nothing was leaking, none of that stuff. Okay, let's open it up and see what we have. Ooh, there's a couple different drinks in here and lots of confetti. So there is a ready to drink option in here. Spill the tea. This is a Long Island iced tea flavored non-alcoholic beverage. We're not going to drink that one today. There's also some tea bags in here. One of the recipes actually asks for you to brew tea, so we obviously won't be making that drink today. Blueberry lavender lemon drop cocktail and mocktail mix. So this one makes 10 drinks. And then what else do we have in here? We have a Monin syrup. This is hibiscus flavored. Floral drink markers. Oh, like to mark your cup? Oh, that's so fun. Oh, it is. Okay. A citrus aperitif. And then we've got some cans of Sanzo. This one is mango sparkling water. All right. There's 2 cans of that in here. Oh, wait. There's also candy in here. Okay, so that leaves us with a drink called Spectrum, which is going to use our hibiscus syrup, our aperitif, and one of these, plus the candy. Okay. Well, let's get to making. Okay, step 1 was to fill a highball glass with ice. So I've got ice in my cup, and today we have 6 books that we're going to talk about. One of them was a DNF though, so I'll let you decide which one that is. The first one is going to be Outlander, and it says to get in half an ounce of the hibiscus syrup. Oh, this is going to be delish. Slowly pour in the hibiscus syrup to create a vibrant base. We also have to talk about Crash Into Me. I don't know if that's creating a vibrant base per se, but it's in there. We are going to talk about Isle of Wrath. Then it says to put in, I don't think that was supposed to happen. Hold on, y'all. How am I supposed to open this? Okay, that's 1 strike because I don't think I can get this open. I managed to get it open, but to be honest, the bottle cap is broken, so that's not great. So I think I just said we have to talk about Isle of Wrath. We also need to talk about the Paradise Problem. And this one's 3/4 of an ounce. So it's me always spilling. That's the problem. Now we're going to top it with the Sanzo mango. We also have to talk about In Another Universe. The last item on our book list to talk about is going to be Oona Out of Order. Oh, this is looking cute. And it's drizzling out this way because I may have put the package in the freezer to chill the ingredients, and it's a little bit more than chilled. Okay, that looks cute. And then you're supposed to garnish it with this. Et voila. So there is the drink, and I hope it's really good because I would love to perhaps subscribe to this service. I don't really know until we taste it, but also there's the ready-made drink in there, and then there's the other drink called All Shade, which requires you to brew the tea ahead of time. So maybe we'll make that one in the next Friday Night Lit, and so we can really say whether or not this box is worth subscribing to for mocktails. So we'll head over to the chair and we'll talk about the books. Cheers. Okay, our drink is here. She's beautiful. Listen, I'm here for this. So let's give it a little bit of a taste. I don't know if I'm supposed to stir it, but I'm going to. because I don't want a mouthful of hibiscus syrup. I do love hibiscus, but I kind of want it. I want this to all be mixed together. So let's see here. Oh, that's good. Ooh, it's not too sweet. It's got a little bit of like a ginger-ish kick, if that's what I'm detecting. Oh, that's delish. All right, so I like to give a little disclaimer at the beginning that there could possibly be heavy plot discussion in this video. I try not to give any like real spoilers, but it's really hard to talk in depth about a book without talking in depth about what happened in the book. So just be forewarned, if there's a book that you don't want to know anything about because you're planning on reading it, you should find timestamps below so you can skip to the next one, okay? Let's get started. What's the first book though? That's the problem why I'm stalling, because I don't remember what the first book was. Oh, let's start with Outlander. Yeah? Okay. Outlander. Okay, you know it. You love it. I love it. So briefly, this is a story about a lady. She is a nurse and she somehow ends up traveling back in time while she's on her second honeymoon. She travels back in time without her husband. She goes back to like the very, very, very early days in Scottish Highlands. And she meets up with her husband's ancestor, who is basically a dick. And things get weird from there. But there's like all these random bits and pieces to the story that I feel like are probably going to be very necessary to know in successive books. This is the first of like a 9-10 book series. And so I think that the things that are happening, like the fact that she's on her second honeymoon, the fact that her husband's ancestor is like in the past where she goes and he basically accosts her. Like, I think those things are going to be very, very relevant in future books. I don't know. I'm just basing this on what I think. In this book in particular, she meets another man in the past, and essentially we get to go through a number of years of her and this other man, Jamie, and we live through their love story, and their love story is beautiful. I'm trying to think. So this book is very long, and so there's so much that happened in it, and I'm like, I don't really want to spoil it, but like I'm gonna talk about something that happened in the book. So there is, as we're going through the love story of Jamie and Claire, there is a part where they figure out how to get her back to the current time where she's supposed to be, which was like what, 19, does it say on the back of the book? 1945. 1945 is where she's supposed to be, but she's in 1743. So they figure out how to get her back to 1945, and she is with Jamie, who is now her husband, in 1743, and they go back to the place where she kind of like crossed the time barrier, and he's like, you have to go. You have to go, for me, for you, like you owe it to yourself to go back to your current time where you're supposed to be. And he basically is like, you're gonna go. And he walks away, and she's standing there and she's like, what am I supposed to do? And right when you're like, okay, but what's gonna happen? Because there's like 200 pages left in this book still. She's like, absolutely freaking not. And she goes back and she finds Jamie. And then like, it's just like this big, huge emotional scene. And I feel like that scene is very much how the book is. Like, there's these big emotional things that happen. And it's just like, oh man, I'm so roped into this book. I'm so roped into their love story. I mean, we also have like prison escapes. We have some other backstory things that happen with other, like the side characters. Not only was this a strong book on its own, despite the length, or maybe because of the length, we had enough time to develop a very well-rounded story with a cast of characters. So not only was this a strong story on its own, I feel like it was such a good opening to a long series. And I mean, obviously, a lot of this is me being hopeful for what the series is going to be, because I've only read one of the 9 books. I believe, okay, if I'm correct, there are 9 books that are published. I believe she's working on book number 10. And then there are 4 or 5 novellas, and then maybe a spin-off series as well with like maybe 3 or 4 books in it. So there's a lot of books in this universe, okay? And so I just feel like this was such a strong opening to this universe. Like, how could the rest of it not be good. You know what I'm saying? Plus, they made it into a TV show, like with like 95 seasons to it. So it's got to be good. And I, for one, am very, very excited. So for this book, when I was thinking about like the vibes of this book, which by the way, I don't think I said that anywhere in the intro, but on Friday Night Lit, I do not give star ratings for the books. For me, I think what's important is, did I vibe with the book? Because a book does not have to be extremely well written for me to have had a good time with it. So I look at like, what is the rating based on how well I vibe with the book? And I still do that out of 5, but we do hearts instead of stars. So for me, the rating for this, vibes wise, this was 5. This was through the roof. Like, I was never not having a good time, despite how long it is. And so a lot of times when a book is super, super long, I'm like, can we get to the point? Did you need to say all this? I feel like the answer is no. And in this book, I did not feel like any of the pages were wasted. Now, I didn't give too much of an in-depth summary here because I do have a reading vlog with this book in it. And that one is pretty lengthy and I said a lot of things in it. So I'm just going to hit you with a linky link up there somewhere, wherever that goes on the screen. So you can go watch that reading vlog. It was my very first reading vlog that I did for the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do 3.0. That's really what I want to say about this book, is it was so good. It was such a strong opening and I just love their love story. I am interested to see what is going to happen next. I feel like this book really did span like an entire lifetime for Claire and Jamie. Claire and Jamie. So, and I think I read on the back or the intro to book 2 or something, I read somewhere about book 2 that it's going to start with a time jump. So I'm just really interested to see where this story is going to go. I would also like to know if she ever goes back to the current time, the 1945, to go find the husband that she left behind. Remember, she was on her second honeymoon because after she got married, her husband and her got split up by the war. She's a nurse in the war and I don't know what he was doing, but he was somewhere else, honey. So they got split up by the war. So they were on their second honeymoon. So they were really connecting kind of for the first time and getting to know each other. And she just poof, disappeared in the middle of their second honeymoon. So I want to know if she's ever going to go back and like see him again. Does he ever come back into play? If she goes back, is she going to be like, well, guess where I was? Is he going to believe her? Is he going to have her committed? Like, how is that going to work? So I want to know some of those things. I want to know, does she age while she's gone? Like, I need to know what's happening in the current time as well. I hope Diana doesn't let me down, but I can't imagine that I'll be disappointed either way. This is delicious. And my Sanzo mango was a little bit frosty. I could recommend having it just a little bit frosty in this drink. It's delicious. I feel like we're losing the light, but it's okay. Y'all know what I look like, right? It doesn't matter to you, does it? Okay. Then I read, on my Kindle, I read Crash Into Me. This is by Robin Lee. This was an arc that I was reading, and unfortunately, I finished it after it released, so it is already ready for you to consume. Okay, so here's the thing. I thought that the book was well written. I thought the characters were well written and nuanced enough to be a good literary fiction example, okay? The problem is, this was sold to me as a romance. I get really hung up, caught up, put out by a book being mismarketed. So if you're telling me this is a romance, like, I'm expecting a romance. I think when I wrote my review, I said, this is definitely not a romance. I said it is a mildly erotic women's fiction. It is like a slowly unraveling of personhood, a bit of maybe obsession, and it's just not romantic. There is a romance that takes place in it, sort of, like a sapphic romance that kind of takes place in it, but like that's really not what the story is about. You know what I mean? So it's hard to call it a romance. And I think that really threw me. Like, I kept expecting to be in this romance situation and we just never were. So in the story, we have a woman who is an artist. She's a photographer. Yes, she does. Well, she does photography. And I think she also does like still art. Anyway, so she's an artist and her husband is a movie director. He hits it big time. They have him move from France, where they live, to California so he can do a 3-part movie mega deal so he can direct it. So she has to uproot her family. Now, she is an American, Jamaican American, is that right? And she grew up on the East Coast and then moved to France because it's a much better place for her, in her opinion, for someone of her mixed race heritage. So moving back to the United States for her is not exactly ideal, but she's here to support her man. So they moved their children to California. And they're very much in like Hollywood, which is, it's a weird place to be in general. Trust me, I am Hollywood adjacent, born and bred. I spent much of my 20s in the Hollywood Hills, like that, on backlots places. It's fine. It's weird. Just take my word for it if you've never been there. So they're there and she's dealing with these concepts of like racism and friction. And her husband, who is a French white man, is not really like, he's not dismissive of it, but he's just like not really getting it. And then she has these mixed race children who are trying to assimilate, and they're kind of doing that, but they're meeting a lot of microaggressive behaviors with their friendship groups and their schools and things like that. And it's just, there's a lot going on. On top of all of that, she has ironically reconnected with someone who she met on a photo shoot years and years and years ago. This person doesn't exactly remember her, but it turns out there's like a lot of trauma involved around that particular photo shoot. And so our main character remembers everything that happens, and she's trying to see if this other woman will remember that, if she remembers meeting her, yada, yada, yada. And it turns out the woman is like, I don't really know. But then they become lovers. Like, the whole thing is really, really awkward. So I'm going to turn the light on really quick because it is actually getting really dark. That happened rapidly. Excuse me for 1 second. Okay, hopefully that helps. So just the whole story is so layered and it's so nuanced, and I thought it was done really well. I just really had trouble getting into it because I was looking for, waiting for, hoping for the romance aspect. And even though the two women end up in a relationship, it wasn't exactly romance centered. So that just messed me up. I really wish publishers would just be truthful about what the book is about and let me pick it up based on that. Because I still would have picked up this book if you hadn't called it a romance. I just would have been prepared for what we were getting into. So it took me a very long time to read this because every time I read it, I was like, okay, so where's the romance? I was in the mood for a romance. So vibes wise, like even though I could say that the book was well written, vibes wise for me, it was like a 2 because I was never there. I was never ready for that. The book cover is also a little bit misleading. So not only did they call it a romance, but then they also show you the picture of a beach. Like it's on my screen somewhere, right? So it's like the picture of the shore, the beach crashing into the sand. And I'm like, this is going to be a summer romance. That ain't what this is. I wish that I could read this again for the first time without being influenced by the marketing of it, because I think I would have had a much better time with it. All right. Isle of Wrath. Claire Contreras. Listen, this is also in that reading vlog with Outlander. So there's a lot about this book in there, or what I could tell you about it. The main takeaway of this book is that it's very confusing. There's a large cast of people. There is a very intricate political system. There's a lot of lore that takes place, like what would you call that? Like lore, mythology that is native to this world. The problem is that the problem is twofold. The problem is that, first of all, with a large cast of characters, everybody has 3 names. and I don't mean a first, middle, last. I mean, everybody has 3 names that they are called by. And without drawing myself a character map on my wall as I'm reading this book, it's really hard to keep track of who is who or who is doing what and why. The other problem is that the world building is not really done. There's a little bit of world building, but it's kind of like oh yeah, by the way, and like the author just kind of drops off something about the book and expects you to have a priori knowledge about what that means. And like, I didn't receive a summer reading list to read before we got into reading this. So I don't know. And it's not just me, y'all. I checked other people's reviews of this book and I was like, okay, so we're all confused. Sounds great. So I can't tell you too much about the book because I didn't understand. Not that it's just really hard to follow. What I do know is that this is about twins who live on this island. And on this island, everyone who comes there comes willingly because they are offered the opportunity to live here free of conflict, free of harm, free of hunger, free of all of these things. All they have to do is give up their memories. So when you immigrate to this island, they take your memories away from you and you don't remember who you are or what you did or who your family is before you came to the island. So that's what the society is about. And basically the island is split in half and half the people are allowed to use magic and half of them are not. The ones that can use magic can't use all of their magic. Like, they're allowed to use some magic, but not all of it. And wouldn't you know it, our main character has the magic that you're not allowed to use. And then she uses it to save her twin brother who's in grave mortal danger. She ends up striking a bargain with a goddess and things kind of go off from there. I guess this is a romantasy. The goddess sends her, basically her collector, to go collect on the bargain, and they end up falling in love, I guess we're supposed to believe. There's a lot of lust in the book, and I don't know that I believe that they were in love, but we're told that they're in love, and it almost feels like there's going to be a book 2, but I looked and this doesn't seem like it's the start of a series. So it also just kind of ended awkwardly. Like, y'all, I don't really know what else to tell you about this book because there's just so much that was not done or not done well. What is done well is the cover of the book. Cover is very pretty. It feels very nice in the hands. And I'll say that even the interior of the book is done pretty well. We've got these on like all of our chapter beginnings. So, you know, it is beautiful to hold in the hand. Vibes wise, I'm gonna give it a 1 because I spent too much time being like, I'm so confused about this. This doesn't make any sense. This is not logical for this world of what I know of this world. So the vibes have to be a 1. I am very interested in the story. I would be very interested in a reworking of this. Like, if the author could just go back to the drawing board and kind of like flesh it out. Maybe it needs more pages. Maybe some of these pages need to go. I did feel like some of the story was dragging on just a little bit, and maybe it doesn't need to be a romantasy. Maybe that's the thing, because the other thing that just like I went on and on about this in the reading vlog, there is a spicy scene in here and it is so out of pocket. Like, there's no reason for it to be in this book. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't feel natural. And I laughed the whole time I read it. I think this doesn't need to be a romantasy. You take that out and focus on the actual fantasy part of it and the world building part of it, and I think this would be an incredible book. So that's where we're at on that, okay? I mean, continuing down the path of books that didn't really do it for me, there's the one that I DNF. This one is called In Another Universe. This one was sent to me by the author, and so listen, it's not that it was bad. I am not the target audience for this book. It was reading very young YA, like very young YA. And it was like this high schooler was basically catfishing people. It was semi-epistolary in nature. There was a lot of reading back and forth of DMs between the people that they were catfishing. I just was like, I can't get into it. I don't relate to that in any way, shape, or form. Like, it's just not, I'm just not the target audience for this book. So, you know, I DNF'd it at like, I don't know, 35%, because I was reading it and I'm like, no, I don't care. I really don't care. And I don't really understand why anyone would be doing something like this. Like, the generation of people who would online catfish people is not me. I think I'm a little bit too old for that. So I missed that window. Even though I grew up in the technology age, I missed the window of people who would be interested in catfishing people. Like, I don't get it. I watched Catfish the show, and even the show, I was like, who has this kind of time on their hands? Like, I don't have the ability to create fake profiles. Like, how do you, and you got to like find friends and you got to make your friends fake profile. I'm not doing all that. Maybe it's just that I'm lazy. Maybe it's not that I don't get it. I'm just lazy. I don't really know, but I ain't doing all that. So I don't relate to anyone who does that. And I can't digest a story about that. I know it's not about relating to people when you read a story, but I don't. And it wasn't for me. Okay. This drink is for me, though. Then my book club, my personal book club, that is an IRL book club. We read The Paradise Problem by Christina Lauren. We actually just had book club like 2 days ago. So our book club was a pool party this time around. Y'all have heard me talk about what I'm going to take to this pool party over and over and over again. We had a time. Okay, we had a time. And for once, I think we all basically liked the book. Some of us got bonus content and some of us did not. The bonus content definitely changed our overall perception of the book. So that's kind of interesting. So in this story, we start with a marriage of convenience as the divorce is happening. So the convenience part is over with, and now we're getting a divorce and going our merry old ways. The female main character of that relationship, I don't even remember her name, if we're being honest. Anna. She basically goes on to live a life of destitution. She's a convenience store clerk, and she gets fired from that job. As we kind of get into the story, what happens is she gets fired from that job. She stays home. She gets litty titty in the middle of the day, and her ex-husband, West, shows up at her door in the middle of the day, and it was like, I need a favor, but also, what is going on here? She's like, help me, I'm poor. And he's like, no, literally, what's going on here? And she's like, no, literally, I have no money. I just got fired from my job. And he's like, well, I need a favor. So can I pay you for that favor? And she's like, come again? Like, what do you mean pay me for the favor? And he's like, yeah, so you know how we're like not divorced yet? And she's like, what do you mean not divorced yet? We got divorced years ago. He's like, no, did you not read the papers? And she's like, sweetie, what do you mean? And he's like, you didn't read the paperwork? Like, we have to remain married for 5 years, and then at the end of the 5 years, you'll get $10,000 and our divorce will be finalized. And she's like, I get $10,000. And he's like, yeah, you, what? And she's like, what are you talking about? So it turns out he's rich. Turns out they were also married in this marriage of convenience and living together as roommates. And she had no idea what his first name was. She'd been calling him Wes this whole time, and she didn't know that was his last name and not, well, it was part of his last name and not his first name. So your girl is all kinds of crazy, but whatever, it is what it is. So essentially he's like, yeah, so my family basically thinks that we're actually married. They also think that you're a doctor, and I'm going to need you to go to this private island with me to my sister's wedding and pretend that we're like super lovey-dovey married, so that I can get my inheritance, and more than that, so that my family can get their inheritance. Because if the estate lawyers find out that this is fake, they're taking everybody's money. She's like, you're going to have to pay me buku bucks for that, my guy. He's like, don't even worry about it. I got you. So they make this business arrangement, and she goes with him to his sister's wedding to this private island. The whole story is about how his family is disgustingly wealthy. Like, it's obscene how wealthy they are. Like, they're basically polluting a island country somewhere to have a wedding. It's gross. And his father is a rich, narcissistic a-hole. They go through the wedding. Of course, you know that they end up actually falling in love with each other. They have some hot, spicy scenes that take place. And at a certain point, essentially, things go awry when she basically can't take his dad's attitude anymore. So that's how we get to our third act breakup. And we have a lovely little summery, beachy, romancy story. Vibes? The vibes were high on this one. I was vibing. I was getting like a 4. I was getting a 4 out of this because I had a good time. I was a little bit annoyed with some of the things that went on. Like, your guy was problematic, but I feel like the authors worked really hard to make him redeemable. One thing that I did love is that a portion of this takes place in Southern California, where I'm from. And at one point, they mentioned Winchell's Donuts. And I don't know if you're not from Southern California, I don't know if you know what Winchell's Donuts is, but like, Winchell's Donuts is my childhood and nobody ever talks about it anymore. In fact, the one that's by my house, by my childhood house, has closed down. So the last time I went home, I was like, there's no Winchell's Donuts. We had a 7-Eleven and a Winchell's Donuts in the parking lot near our house. And like, that was childhood for me. So to hear Winchell's be mentioned in the book automatically was like giving me like really good times. Okay, that has nothing to do with the actual story. That was just like literally like an offhand mention one time in the book. So I thought that the book was really well done and it didn't need to be anything too deep. I mean, it is a romance. It is a marriage of convenience. And then of course they fall in love. We all know how that story goes, but I just do think that Christina Lauren, like, they did a really good job on this. Now, the thing is, the bonus content changed how the story worked. I thought the way that it ended without the bonus content was really, really good. The bonus content came in and it's almost like we've lost all the lessons that we learned along the way about the ultra rich, the ultra wealthy. And like, now what's the point? Like, we didn't learn anything in the course of this book. So I don't know. I think we could have done without the bonus content is all I'm going to say. But otherwise, this book was really, really good. Okay, so the last book that I have to talk about is Oona Out of Order. This was not on my radar. However, in the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, aka Herked, there's something called a side quest. So every month you have from the 7th of the month until the end of the month to read a additional book, and you can get certain prizes that you can use to make the rest of the reading challenge just a little bit easier or a little more adaptable to what you have on your shelves. And so I read Oona Out of Order because the challenge was to either read a book with a teal cover or to read a book with an alliterative title, but the alliteration had to have 3+ words in it. Oona Out of Order fits both of those. So I was able to read it and fit both of those, and I didn't have to decide until I was finished which prize I was going to select for that. So I read that book. It's actually like a cute concept. So Oona lives her life out of order. When she turns 18, she time travels and she jumps into her own body when she's like, I don't know, I think she went to like her 50s and then she came back. You know, she jumps backwards and forwards. It's essentially what it sounds like. Her life is out of order. So it's not like she jumps to a time period in the future and then lives her life from there and just kind of skips it in between. She never knows where she's going to end up. Every year on her birthday, she jumps to a different year. So she has an internal age and an external age in every year that she's in. And she spends a lot of time trying to change her future with the information that she has. And ultimately, I think she comes to the conclusion that she's not going to be able to do that. And so she has to kind of figure out how to live the life that she has in the order that she gets it. It was such a cute story. And like, I don't even know, there's not a whole lot to the story. She's just kind of living her life and learning the lessons. And she's a little bit stubborn about it. So it does take her a number of years to get it through her little head that she's not going to be able to change things. And even if she does change things, it's not necessarily that they're going to change for the better. She's a little bit stubborn about all of this situation. And that's why we have a book. I love this concept of living life out of order. And honestly, I think that I would be super okay with doing that. And for me, that was like the best part of the book because I was like, oh, like, what would I do? And like, how would I react to that? Now, I don't know that I would have taken the news quite as well, but once I got used to it, I think I would have liked it. I think I really would have liked living life out of order. It does make things difficult to sustain like long-term relationships though, because how do you explain this to like a person that you're on a date with? Like, I'm going to forget all about you on my birthday. I will say the way that she explained it to one of her romantic partners didn't feel believable, but the partner person took it in stride and was like, yeah, that makes sense. I think she said that she had a TBI and it caused her to forget everything on like on the stroke of midnight on her birthday. And I was like, it's not really how TBIs work, Oona. But he bought it and it allowed the story to progress. Regardless, I really liked the book. I liked the concept of the time travel. I'm a sucker for a time travel situation. I liked the concept of that. I also just liked the way that Oona, like her character arc worked. And I love the way that the book ended. I'm not going to say how it ended, but I just thought like the way that it ended was so freaking cute. And I was like, oh, like I would love to have a spinoff. For me, the sign of a good book is when I'm like, I want a spinoff so I can see what happens next. And this was one of those books for me. Like I really was like, oh yeah, like I want to see that chapter, the chapter that we were leading into that we never got. Oh, it ended so well. So, vibes wise, I would say that this was a solid 4. I don't know that I was ever planning to read this book. I just side quest, and I'm glad that I did read it though, because it was cute. And I want to see, I don't know if this author has written more or not. What was her name? Marguerite something? I don't know. I want to see if she's written anything else, because this was like a really well done book. And I'm interested in how her brain might be working in other areas. Yeah. Did I just wrap up Oona out of order in like 3 minutes? I think I did. One thing that I did not see coming in this book was Kinsey. I didn't like, if you've read the book, then you know what I mean. I'm not going to say any more, because if you haven't read the book, I think that's vague enough. But yeah, I did not see that coming. I was like, oh, okay. All right. Interesting. That was a choice. That was a choice that Oona made. That's all I have to say about Oona Out of Order. I thought it was really well done, but there wasn't like a whole lot to it. It was just kind of like, oh yeah, okay. So those are the books that I've read recently. I will say, like, this feels really light, especially given how long ago it was that I did a Friday Night Lit. Like, I got a little off the every other week schedule for a bit. It's honestly because I haven't been reading that much. I've been enjoying summer. I've been reading a little bit less, a little bit slower, which is nice. I wanted to slow down because I sometimes can get into these habits where all I do is read, which is not necessarily a bad thing. When I'm clocking like 16 books a month, I'm like, what else did I do with my time? I haven't turned the TV on at all. I haven't like socialized with a single person. I kind of intentionally slowed down. So like there just haven't been that many books. So I feel like I should have more to talk to you about, but I just don't. Anyway, it's going to be fine. I do think that it's probably true for a number of people, but I read a lot more during the winter months because I'm not about to go outside. I am not trying to be cold, okay? I'm just not here for it. So I be staying in the house. I don't be seeing nobody. I don't go hang out with anybody because it's too cold. I don't want to be in the rain or the snow or the sleet or the cold or any of that. I don't want to do that, okay? So I read a lot more in the winter, and it is what it is. But yeah, I'm rambling now because I feel like I should have had more to say. And when I edit this video, I'm probably going to be like, girl, shut up. Like, this is 90 minutes of you talking about books. It's more than enough. But I finished my drink, and it was delicious to the very last drop. It's definitely got a weird texture now that it's gotten soggy. Don't really recommend that. But anyway, this is a delicious drink. We're going to give, what's it called again? Raising the Bar. We're going to give Raising the Bar another try because there's like 2 more drink opportunities within that box. And since you have made it this far, you know what to do, right? Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. And I will see you all in the very next video.